Hi modelers, it's Chris, the modeler at ABR Modelworks, and I'm so excited about this particular video because this is the video that we're going to bolt our baseboards together to start to build the first diorama for ABR Lines. So as you can see, I have the first half of the baseboard sitting on legs, and this is the second half, which we'll be bolting to the end of it in a moment. So the other two pieces that are here are the pieces that I'm going to bolt onto the end, and they're basically just going to be run-off area with a little bit of track, so that if I do run trains backwards and forwards, I've got somewhere that gives me a little bit of wiggle room in terms of doing shunting, etc. So now the other part to this video that I'd like to spend a little bit of time on tonight is, once we've got the baseboard assembled, then we'll talk about how the corner pieces can be used to produce a wider area or a little siding running off on an angle, etc. Now the legs and modules are bolted together using just a simple bolt and wing nut and a couple of mudguard washers. So I do need to use a large washer to spread the load, just to make sure that the leg area and where we're joining together, so there's enough surface area for the load to be distributed and to keep the baseboard and the whole system nice and stable. Let's pause the video while I bolt these two modules together and add the legs to them, and then we'll put the end pieces on. So as you can see, I now have the baseboard completely assembled, sitting on its legs. And for those of you who are really observant, you'll also notice that we've gone to a white background. Now, to be honest with you, I really did like the contrasty look of the black background, but the truth of the matter is that's not going to show off the models anywhere near as well as a lighter environment. So we've gone to the white. And just as a side note, I'm going to be making a frame up for the baseboard to sit on while it's in construction, and the other part to that frame is that it will have a couple of shelves on it so that I can have different modules stacked on top of each other, and the center one will be the working module, or the one I'm working on. I need space to store the modules. Now the length of this is 2.7 meters long, which extends from just here all the way down to the back here. The 300mm sections on the end are my runoff areas. Basically that's it. It's a fairly straightforward, easy system to put together. Now you can do all sorts of things with the little corner pieces, and one of the main ones that I'm considering doing, and this is just a short mock-up, is putting an extra 300mm on the front face, because I'm considering having, on this particular diorama, the one I'm building for display, a goods area at one end with freight handling, possibly a station, but on one end I'm going to have an engine servicing facility. So having that extra space will allow us to do that. And basically what I can do is I can put it right up to where it joins to the module that would continue on, or I could bring it in 150mm, whatever I like. So there's a bunch of different options that you can work with. And of course you could use the 150 and just put a 150 step, or if you really needed a lot of extra space, at the moment we've got the ability to use the, it goes that way around, a 450, which would give you, a very large baseboard area. Now that could be used for things like a staging section or something like that. Now the other thing you can do with these is you can come off at 45 degrees. So you can have a section disappearing off, and when you have a look at a lot of the Fremo layouts they put together in the US, they'll have these odd little sections where they'll branch out and go into a different series of modules going off in a different direction. And then the other thing you can use the 45s for is setting them up so that you can have your corner, but in addition to that, it could be a complete reverse loop, coming right around and coming back in again. So there's quite a few options with the system in terms of how you finally do the layout of your choice. With Will James's layout, he has the larger 45 and he's coming off with 450 mil wide section. So he's running a 600 mil wide, the one that I'm using, for the main baseboard, and his baseboard is basically this length, and then somewhere down about here he's coming off at 90 degrees. So that's an option that he's decided to go with. Bart is using the same depth of baseboard, but his of course runs right around the room. And what he did is he used these 45s, the 300 mil ones, to go into the corner, so his layout runs around in a a complete loop around the room itself. Now, he wasn't looking at using the system from a Fremo point of view. His reasoning for using it was twofold. One, he liked the idea of not having to physically get out the saws and everything else and cut up lumber and produce a baseboard himself. So from his point of view, the mess was a big issue, and that saved on this. And then the other thing was that at some point he knows he's going to be moving. And so this now means that when he's designed the layout, he was able to design it in sections. And if you were looking at his videos over the last month or so while he's been putting his together, you'll see there's an orange and a blue and so on and so forth, and they're all the sections where he can split it and move it to wherever else he ends up. I'm currently talking with a gentleman in Florida who wants to make a 300 mil wide baseboard in his office, and that's going to have a 90 degree corner on it for staging. So his main layout will just be a long straight area, and it's going to be like a little shunting layout. So there's lots of different options available. Different people are talking to us about different concepts. The beauty of it is you've got plenty of options in terms of the physical shape that you want to go with, as long as you stay within the the formula that's been set up at. But that's basically it, and I can't wait to now start putting a few buildings and doing some scenery and working on the whole project. From my point of view, I have to have this whole section done by mid next year, mid 23, along with whatever we decide to do in terms of a return loop for a display for my local model railway club. They run a big show each year, and we're going to be displaying this layout. And hopefully I'll have a couple of 2.7 metre long dioramas to have on display. And just for a bit of fun, here's some buildings on what could be a module for the layout. And as you can see, if I'm going to put an engine facility here with maintenance facilities for the wagons, etc., I'm absolutely going to need to come out. But that could look quite appealing. Probably come out there and duck back in a little bit before we disappear into whatever the next module is going to be. Now, the other thing that I'll just point out about this particular layout is that because it's going to be a Fremo style layout, it won't have a backdrop. It's going to be viewed from both sides. And one of the things I have to make, which will be available to you all as well, will be the control box to go on either side. So it'll be in the same sort of format, and the idea is that you'll be able to clip it or bolt it or whatever on both sides, so that your section of railway line can be operated by whoever's driving their train through on whatever side of the module they're on. The little shelf thing that I talked about, it will have a sky type background, so that when I'm filming the models and bits and pieces that I've got a background, because there's nothing worse than what's behind this at the moment is an ugly brick wall. So there we go. Lots of thought now has to go into exactly how I'm going to lay this out. The track plan that's down at the moment was an idea I had before we were building the system. I've got 1/2 metre, 600 mil of extra space now to work with. We'll go back to the drawing board and come up with an idea and maybe discuss it a little bit on the channel. Part of the concept in dealing with this layout was always going to be that we would ask a lot of questions to our viewers, and hopefully they would get involved and be part of the design process. And so if you've got particular buildings in mind you'd like to have on your layout and you think it might fit with what we're doing, then please get in touch. Let us know what you're looking for, regardless of whether it ends up on our layout or not. We're happy to have a look at it and see what we can do to come up with something a little bit different. But at the moment, the basic concept that I'm looking at going with this layout, or this module rather, is that it's going to be a small through main line with some freight and engine and wagon servicing facility. So we'll have things like fueling station, probably a little bit of a strip mall down the side here of some buildings for like the garage and a couple of shops, maybe even a small hotel or something like that. This end will be more the freight side of things. Nothing's off the table, I guess, at this stage. So that's it, we'll wrap the video up. I'd like to thank you for watching. Please help us out a lot by subscribing to YouTube and ringing the bell. And if you like the video, click on the like button. We'd really like to get comments back. We've had a few over the last couple of blogs, and they've been gratefully received and quite helpful. In the meantime, I'm Chris, the modeller at ABR Modelworks, and have a great day modelling. Thanks for watching.